Hey guys, so after the first egg freezing video, I said for the second one I would answer some of your questions. So I've got everything that was sent through on Instagram. So yeah, let's go. First one, were you scared to find out about your fertility? I'm 34 and want children but haven't found out. Yeah, I was. Do you know what, actually? Let me think back. I wasn't that nervous to find out, but then when I did find out, it shocked me that it was so low. So my AMH, oh God, I can't remember, but I just know it was very low for my age. So I think that's one of the things I would really recommend doing if you're thinking about this, or even if you're not, just find out where you are, because then once you have a base, you can kind of track from there. Is it going down? Is this something you need to think about? I think that's a really sensible thing to do. And getting that tested actually isn't that expensive. That's just like the first step. Do you feel better knowing you have some form of insurance? I'm 31 and single. Yeah, I do, definitely. I definitely feel more confident, especially straight after. I just felt a bit like free, because you put pressure on yourself, I think, as a woman, to meet someone and to do all of that by the time you're a certain age. And once I'd frozen the eggs, I felt a little bit like, okay, I can just breathe now, because I wouldn't want to get into something just for the sake of having a baby. So yeah, I felt like it gave me more time, if that makes sense, and just not to be, you know, so stressed or putting so much pressure on yourself, and then maybe it will happen more naturally. Hope that helps. Do you know what would happen in the future as and when you were ready to use them? Hopefully I'd still be able to get pregnant in the future, but if I couldn't, having the eggs frozen means that I could go with my partner or a sperm donor even, and then I can fertilise the eggs in the clinic, or try to see how many fertilise, and then have one implanted, which obviously is a separate process, but that would be like the next stages. So they would thaw them out, pop them out the freezer, put the sperm in with them, and then once they were fertilised, we'd see how many developed, and then pop those inside and hope for the best. This is a really good question. How much does it affect day-to-day life whilst freezing them? I found the first time the emotional side of things probably had more of an effect on my day-to-day life than the actual freezing process. Once I'd got to grips with the injections, I didn't find them too bad, and that's what I was most fearful of before. So once I'd got past the injections, I think you do feel a bit bloated, and then after you have the surgery, I felt a little bit rough, but only for literally like 2 days. And then I think the other thing that I completely wasn't aware of, is that when you have your first period after doing it, because as well as building up all your follicles, the drugs also build up the lining of your womb. So afterwards, when you have your first period, it is like the worst period you've ever had in your life. And it's not just the pain and the like heaviness or whatever, but it's also your hormones are just suddenly dropping off. So I had days where I was literally like sat with all my friends doing something so nice, and I was like, I feel horrendous, like I feel so miserable, like what is going on? So yeah, I wasn't really told about that either, so I would definitely prepare yourself for that. It's all fun and games. Would I have babies in my 40s? Yeah, I feel like that's so normal now. I would definitely have babies in my 40s. I would have babies whenever the time is right for me. I don't have like a specific age or anything like that in mind. Just whenever it feels right, and hopefully when I'm with the right person. But if that doesn't happen, like maybe I will have one on my own, in my 40s. I don't know, like I'm 34 now, so I've got a few years to probably try naturally. My mum had my sister at like 38, so, or 39 maybe, so I feel like there's still loads of time for me to have one naturally. But yeah, I would definitely have one in my 40s. Does egg retrieval lower your chances of getting pregnant naturally? No. So the egg retrieval doesn't change your chances of getting pregnant naturally at all. You are born with so many eggs, and taking a few of them literally won't make any difference to your fertility at all. The one thing that a round of egg collection can do is, if you're trying to get pregnant and struggling, because like I was just saying before about the periods, it builds up your womb lining so much with the drugs. Sometimes that's a really good time to implant, because there's more basically for the embryo to kind of grip onto and want to stay. How many trips to the clinic are required for egg freezing? You have your initial appointment where they do your blood test, check your AMH, all of those things. Then you go back on day 18 of the cycle where you want it to start the following month. And you will have scans to check that everything's fine. And you will also have, I don't know if you have more blood tests. You have scans to check everything's fine, and you're given all the drugs and you're taught how to inject. And then while you're injecting, you go roughly every 2 to 3 days so they can check how the follicles are growing, how your ovaries are doing, check there's nothing going wrong basically, and that you're heading in the right direction. And then they plot the size of your follicles on a graph so that they know roughly when they're going to be ready. It's actually really interesting when you're there because you learn so much. What is the cost? I feel like this is a really common question. So I paid about, I'm going to say around £5,000 per cycle. I think there's probably places where you can get it for a little bit less, and there's probably places that are much more. The initial cost, the only thing to bear in mind is you do then have to buy the drugs on top of that. And I think my drugs the first time came to like £1,100 or something. So it's not a cheap process. But the way I saw it was that if I looked back and thought, oh, if I'd done that, then maybe now I'd be able to have children, then it was kind of like a priceless thing. So yeah, that was my kind of sway to definitely do it. How long after collection do you feel normal again? Did you feel emotional or get acne? I didn't get acne, but I would have to say I am an annoying person that is really, really lucky with their skin. Apart from the collagen TikTok mask, that really broke me out. Yeah, so I'm quite lucky with my skin, so I didn't get any acne, but I don't usually get hormonal acne. So if that's a problem for you, maybe you would, I don't know. Emotional, yes. So after the retrieval, I guess it's just a lot, isn't it? And like, you've been injecting for 2 weeks. You've gone through this whole process. Like, it's almost a relief mixed with how many am I going to get, mixed with the hormones all dropping off from stopping injecting. Like, it's a lot going on. It's definitely an emotional time. Does it require a donor? No, like, you just freeze the eggs on their own. But obviously, if you have a long-term partner and you're just not ready yet, then you can freeze embryos with them, and then it's all just like ready to go when you're ready. How did you choose your clinic? I chose my clinic because my cousin actually works there as a fertility nurse. She's amazing. So I just felt really comfortable going there, and she recommended me doctors, and she just taught me through the whole process. So I just felt more confident having her there. And I do think they're an amazing clinic. Like, they were perfect, like, from start to finish. It's King's Fertility in London, if anyone's wondering. But you can obviously, there's loads of clinics that do the same thing. Do I have to have IVF following egg freezing? No, you really don't. You can get pregnant naturally, and it's kind of an insurance thing. Also, what I learned is that when they freeze your eggs, they freeze them at the age that you are when you do the process. So the eggs don't age in the freezer, they just chill there. So your egg quality, the younger you are, will be better. So it's kind of important, even if you're releasing eggs still at 40, there's a high chance that the eggs won't be as good quality. That's another reason I decided to do it, even if I could get pregnant later naturally. It's good to know you've got some good quality ones in the freezer. What side effects did you find in terms of mental health? I'm going through my first cycle at the moment. Congratulations. I think I was quite overwhelmed, I guess, at first, just by the whole process. And like I've said in my other videos, it just brings up so many thoughts and feelings, and why am I having to do this? And you're in the clinic and there's loads of couples there, which obviously it's awful that they're having to try, and I was just there on my own, oh hi. So yeah, it brought up quite a lot in terms of that, and I'm so lucky that I feel very fulfilled in my life, but this is definitely an area that I think about, and it concerns me. And, you know, I do have insecurities around the fact that I haven't had children yet or met someone yet that I want to do that with. I wouldn't say, yeah, I think it just brings up a lot of thoughts and feelings, and like maybe you're more honest with yourself about how you're feeling about those areas, because in normal day-to-day life, like, we're busy and we're having fun and we're working, we're doing all these things, and it's not something that comes to mind. So then this really shines a light on it, and I guess you think about like how much you would like that in the future and those kind of things. Throughout it, I would say my mental health, I was fine, but it was a roller coaster. There was definitely a lot of tears, not in a negative way, just in like there's a lot of feelings going on, you know? And then obviously the bloating is another side effect. The hair loss. So my hair's growing back now, but I found after I finished the cycles, like a few months later, I guess it's a little bit like in pregnancy, I lost quite a lot of hair. It was not obvious, but to me, and my hair felt thinner, and like in the shower when I was washing it, more was coming out. And I think that's just the hormones, but it's growing back now. I feel like that's all the like important questions answered. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it wasn't boring me just sat here. Let me know if you have any other questions, and obviously I'm going to be posting the second video of like the process and going through all of that. So yeah, enjoy, and thank you for watching.